What's up, everybody? Once again, it is I, James, coming to you from the Nerdy Mewzings Podcast studio. Today, I am joined by Mr. Duck of Duck Bacon Graphics. How you doing today, Duck?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing good, brother. Welcome to the show. Happy to have you on.
And you can hear me.
I can hear you great.
Oh.
Looking sharp in those shades. You got the beard. The beard game is on point.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Some awesome books on the shelf there behind you.
Thank you. Yep.
See, you can learn a lot about somebody based on what books they have in their collection there. That's some good stuff.
There's definitely some ones that probably I would, I don't know. Well, no comment.
Ah, you put some filler books in there that maybe you're not as much of a fan of.
Maybe.
Right on, man.
Probably I see them all.
Yeah.
You don't know which one you're going into until you're being broadcasted, I guess.
I'm telling you. Well, listen, I think it'd be fun for people to kind of hear how we met. So it was very random. We were both down there at the Washington SummerCon here not too long ago.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, it was an amazing convention. So cool and so close to home for me, which is like, I feel spoiled. It's literally like 5 minutes from my house.
Nice.
Yeah, usually have to travel and get a hotel and all that, but it was so nice. And when I found out Ryan Otley actually messaged me, I didn't even realize that con was coming up. And he's like, hey, you live in Washington, right? He's like, are you going to be there? And I'm like, dude, if you're going to be there, I'm going to be there. Yeah, Ryan's awesome.
Yeah,
one of my all-time favorite artists. And yep, there it is. You can't see them, but mine are all on the bottom of this shelf over here. All the trades, all the omnibuses. But yeah, we were at Aaron Lepresti's booth, and I was actually chatting with his wife, and she was awesome. I had a real great conversation with her.
Yeah,
and then overheard you and Aaron chatting and saw you showing him, some of your work on the iPad, and he was giving you a little critique and advice, and I kind of butted in on the conversation and it's like, hey man, you want to come on the podcast? And here we are.
Yep.
Awesome. Now, how did you get your start in art, in your journey of wanting to get into the comic book field and all of that? I mean, most of the people I have on, it comes down to a love of comics and seeing the art and all of that, and then being inspired to want to do it ourselves. So is that a similar journey to what you've experienced?
Absolutely. Yeah. Probably wouldn't see too many differences between the comic enthusiast / artist.
Yeah.
I think, my mother was an artist. She went to school for graphic design. She was already just pretty much unintentionally, but I mean, like just by being around her, just totally influenced by art. She was big into impressionism. And, I got a whole just education from her growing
that's
up
amazing.
Before going into school. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, for me, actually, my mom used to do little drawings and stuff for me when I was a kid, and I was always like wondering how she did that. It was like she was always so creative, and I'm like, how does she do that? It looks amazing. I want to be able to do that.
There was designing outfits, because she used to make dresses and stuff like that, and so she'd be designing outfits, and
that's crazy.
So cool because they're
my mom
good.
My mom was a professional seamstress
nice.
As well.
Nice.
Yeah, she used to do all the back in the 90s. She was the kind of a very famous designer of outfits for people that show horses. So
Nice.
for all the big time horse show people, my mom would help them design the outfits and would sew the outfits. So she did that for a really long time.
That's awesome.
So that's really cool, man. It's creativity. These moms getting us inspired.
There's some truth to having that mom around. That's a big not just nurturer, but also like, inspiration
Yeah,
for
most definitely.
everything artistic and music and all sorts
Yeah.
of things. I mean, yeah,
Did you end up seeking out like formal training? Did you take any classes
yeah,
aside from the basic art classes?
naturally.
Yeah.
Basic art, I would always jump on art like in the school, and that's started. When I was going to school, it started, in the sixth grade on up. You could always choose it as a elective or whatever, and
Right.
so I always had that. I had some really fantastic art teachers, and then I had regular public school art teachers who didn't
Yeah.
really want to be there, and
Yeah, the
but
stereotypical.
yeah, but and also would every summer my mom, man, just pretty much guided me. I even was the youngest member of the Graphic Arts Society. My mom's a group that she was a part of
Oh, wow.
when I was preteen, and I actually met one of the original artists of the Archie comics
Oh, holy
through
cow.
that, and that was just mind blowing to me. I mean, like it wasn't like Arthur Adams or Jim Lee, but it's still I was like somebody doing comics like
Yeah.
professional. That was
Yeah, and
awesome.
within that realm and everything, Archie's so
Yeah,
popular. That's
yeah.
a guy that had to be surreal for
it,
you.
it wasn't, I want to say like it was bad. I mean, like Archie, it was awesome,
Yeah.
for its thing, but it wasn't something I was into. I was just mesmerized by the fact that he was working in comics, like how like alien
Yeah.
that was to me as a kid. Like, oh, you
Totally.
can actually do it. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. It
yeah,
seems like this thing that's so out of reach at the time when
yep.
you're that young and you're looking at that. Like, those are in the days when you like don't even know much about the process either. Like, I remember when I first learned that they drew the pages on 11 by 17
Yeah,
and weren't drawing everything that small.
the
I was
the
like,
the
what?
magic behind like learning all those tricks and stuff at the early time, like the 11 by 17, then they were shrinking them down. I was all like, oh
Yeah.
wow, so somebody's not going in there like with a magnifying glass and like
Yeah. Fast forward today where we're on our iPads and we can zoom
right,
in
right.
infinitely and get the
Well,
line just
definitely,
perfect.
definitely prepared us. I mean, like when I first started getting into digital, it was only a couple of years ago. Uh, I do realize like some of the Achilles heel of zooming in.
Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta not zoom in. You,
Yeah,
you gotta
absolutely. You
you gotta
gotta,
zoom out. You
yeah,
gotta
don't zoom all the way in. Don't turn on that line correction too high. Lines are not meant to look too perfect.
yeah.
These
I
are all the
spent
things.
spent almost days. I'm exaggerating, but I mean like doing a line, back, doing a line
Yeah,
back, doing a line.
same. Same. Yeah. I found that there's certain things I enjoy um creating digitally. Like, I like the freedom of my doing my roughs digitally and being able to go in and quickly tweak things with the transform and rotate. Oh, that arm's out of proportion, let's shrink it down, like in the rough process. Like, I think there's a lot of time saving things there that are
Oh yeah,
very
yeah.
helpful.
Well, and a
um
lot of paper saving things.
yeah.
You erase so much on the page,
Yeah.
and then plus like losing that energy,
Yep.
because we all know that initial first rough that captures all the energy, and then we lose it. After hours concentrating on
Yeah.
this detail or that, and all of a sudden it's looking stiff, and it's like, oh man, I just lost that feeling. And when I was working on paper, you know, there's like I got thousands of unfinished, drawings
Yep.
where it just lost that initial edge, and that's where I'm happy digitally. I mean, like I can speed it up to where I don't lose that energy.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, the traditional, like I always get a little paralyzed, like especially like that's a sketch cover, like a Deadpool sketch cover I'm working on back there,
Yeah.
and it's like you were saying with all the erasing and everything, like
Yeah.
trying not to make it messy. Like, damn
Yeah.
it,
Well,
I
you know what I
wish it
found?
I wish it was digital.
I got a projector and stuff. I mean, like, if somebody wants that, I mean, because usually I mean, like for my commissions, I've been just getting them printed out, and it'll just be a one time, print. I'll even put like a 1-to-1,
Right.
print deal on there, and you know, they could ask me to do if they really need the ink, on that paper and stuff. I mean, like, I'm gonna charge them for it. That'll be more time that I'm
Yeah.
gonna put into it. But a lot of people have been satisfied just with, getting the print.
Well,
And
that's cool.
I
Yeah.
know that's a controversial thing, but
Right.
I think we're obviously going into a different era, and I think it's you know uh, some things are sad to let go of or whatever. Definitely, I think that feeling of all this stuff could just be lost. All this hours of work,
Yep.
like some MP or something just wipes out all the
Yeah.
electronics, then all your art is gone. It's
Yeah.
all like, yeah, yeah, but if a big old flood happened back in the day, I mean, all my art was gone too.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know,
Yeah. Well, and
so
people need to realize like these are tools, like all of these things are tools. Digital isn't a cheat. You still need to have the foundation and you know, it
and
allows a lot more
that's true
freedom.
too.
Yeah,
That's
there's a
true
lot
too.
more
Yeah,
freedom in the creative process.
I tell anybody getting into art when they ask me, I always tell them, the basics first. You know, don't think you're gonna jump in. I've seen so many. I mean, especially now, on like Instagram or any one of these social. I see the I just started yesterday, or I just started, 2 weeks ago, and
Yeah.
like and that's cool. I don't want to. So, I don't want to like suppress that or anything. That's great. I love it. Everybody wants to be an artist. That's awesome. That's a great thing. I really truly feel that everybody has that energy inside, that potential.
Yeah.
You know, but sometimes reminded if you've been doing it for a while, it's still I mean, like I look at some of them. I'm not gonna say names or anybody because a lot of them I don't know. But
Right.
I'll say it, and I'm imagining like somebody a lot younger than me. Uh, I'm looking at their art and I'm all like, man, that's great, and I'm imagining like, 10-year-old or a 13-year-old like doing it
Yeah.
because like, that's where I started, and
Yeah.
then I'll see them, they'll be like my age, and I'm like, "Yeah,
Mhm.
oh, you really want to show that stuff right now?"
Well, and the thing is
But God
too,
bless
like,
them.
yeah, absolutely. Like, well, in you know, people have to be open to that constructive criticism as well
Yep.
if they are asking for a advice or an opinion on their art.
Well,
You
definitely.
know the big time pros ain't gonna sugarcoat anything
Right,
if
right.
they took their work to be reviewed. So if you have a kind individual coming to you, you know, providing a
And
little bit of feedback in a nice way, it can be very
I'm not.
beneficial.
Yeah, I'm not saying anything that hadn't been said to me. I mean, like,
Yeah.
and there's definitely like people who can look at my stuff, even the stuff that I'm proud of today. They can look at it and go like, "Oh, I was doing that 40 years ago or 50 years
Hmm.
ago." I'm like, I know, all right, but
Yeah.
it, it really your ability to take criticism, I think, really defines uh, um, being able to do it, being able
Y-
to do the art, or anything in life. I mean, like whether you're into art, music, football, whatever. I mean, like if you're able to use that criticism in like a healthy, energetic way, to where, like, you're not just getting hung up on it, and either saying like, well, I'm done with this, or, well, that guy just doesn't know anything.
Yeah.
When I internalize that message of criticism, I go through all the emotions where I'm all like, oh, I don't like you very much, but uh, you know, I've had it since I was a kid. Like, all right, well, I'm gonna show you. Like, all right, well, when I get back to my drawing table, when I get back home, and I start drawing, that energy is all like, yeah, well, all right, you think that? All right, well, you know what? I'm gonna show you I can do it. It's
Yeah.
like,
You use it as fuel.
yeah, I'm not a big football guy. I played it back in junior high. I remember that first time I got hit. The Oh, this is going from goofball to sixth grade,
Yeah.
and we all played, like, before, and and it was all fun and games, but then all of a sudden you get hit, and I remember I was like, oh, it's like that? Oh, really? I'm like looking at the coach, and the coach is screaming at me. He's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Oh, this is serious." Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and from then on, I was just hitting back as hard as I could, and
I
I think
think a
that
lot
same
of
kind of energy. Yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of people, when it comes to art, like it's since it is coming out of us and it's from our brain, like people can get a little like too, it feels a little too personal if somebody
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
tearing it apart, right? So I think that's where a lot of people have trouble with
Yep.
that feedback or that constructive criticism, because it's
Yep.
like it's your baby, it's your thing you created, right?
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. You
yeah,
spend days on it. They don't even know how long you spent on it. And here they are just ripping it apart like you just came out of the womb yesterday, and
yeah,
you don't know what you're doing, and now I love it. I used to, like, when I first, when I was younger. Again, I'll get frustrated. I'll get like, all right, I'm done. But now, when I ever get that feeling, I'm all like, oh well, I'm gonna show you. Like
yeah.
that. That's it. All right. You know what? No more fun and games. I'm not playing around here. I'll show you. I don't care if I'm gonna be, like, homeless on the street. I'm gonna show you I'm gonna do this, like, better than you.
That's great, man. That's a great attitude to have. I think being able to channel it in that way is definitely beneficial. I remember my friend Ron Garney. He'll critique work that I send him, and he's kind, but he's honest. So he'll
Yeah.
be like, I remember I did a drawing of Wolverine or something, and I had his hand positioned too close to his crotch. And Ron's like, he goes, I don't know how to tell you this, but he kind of looks like he's like cranking one off or whatever. And he said the way I responded in the message back was like I was like very defensive and stuff.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, well, it wasn't because I was mad at you. It was because I'm mad at myself for not realizing that I put his hand there, and it does look
Right.
like that. It's
Right.
more internal frustration than anything. I should have
Oh
spotted
yeah.
that.
Yep.
He still
Yep.
gives me a hard time about that one.
Well, those tangents, man, boy, I catch them, and that's one of the biggest things that I think we as artists, gotta get over, being able to erase something that it's not working for the piece.
Yeah.
He is such a cool arm, though. It looks so good. That shading is just so on point, and it's like, if it's not working for the piece, you gotta toss it, man. You gotta,
Yeah.
do something radical. Now,
Yeah, there's a Joe Kubert quote or saying. He basically said if it doesn't look right, it's not right. Like if you're seeing it and
absolutely.
then you're like something's wrong here, it's like
Uh,
yeah, something's wrong there. It's just a matter of if you can discover or figure out what it is. It's if it
but we
looks
learned
wrong, it is wrong.
those lessons so many times. I mean, like, well, I know something's off. I post it. It's like, I got 3 likes. Oh, it's only been, a month, but it's got 3 likes.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like,
You
dang
know
it.
what? Maybe,
Maybe they're
yeah,
seeing
something
something I
was like,
couldn't they're seeing something I couldn't see.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's
But
tough, man.
that's all part of it. That's the lessons that we learn. I mean, like if we didn't have those lessons, obviously it would be we wouldn't be getting anywhere. I mean,
Yeah.
there's definitely like my art today has all those lessons in it, that I've learned throughout my life.
Yeah. Yeah,
You
we
know,
are a accumulation of all those both positive and negative experiences that we've gone through
yeah,
on that journey.
yeah. That's where I really love. Somebody asked me like, who my favorite artist is. There's so many. I mean, like, growing up
Yeah.
throughout my life, just in the comic book world, of course, I have like, a favorite realism and favorite modern and favorite you know classical artists and but just within the comic book artists, I wouldn't be able to pinpoint you know one specific. Of course, if somebody asked me like deserted island question, who would you
Yeah.
bring with you? I say Mark Silvestri.
Oh
Okay.
man. Yeah,
He
he's in
serves
my
all
he's on my Mount Rushmore. Yeah, and he's a
but
fellow tall guy like us.
yeah,
Actually, he's like six
you know,
eight or something, I think. He's a really
that's
tall
not a
dude.
fellow. That's towering over us.
Hmm. Yeah, he's got
I
me
was
by
surprised with
he's got me by like 3 inches. He's a big dude.
but um but anyway, the all the artists. I remember who's saying this. Somebody was saying recently about how they can pinpoint like all their influences,
Mm,
uh, and I'm like, yeah, that's a matter of fact. I mean, like anybody can look at mine, and I'm pretty sure see, or pretty much guess the first 10 on my list.
I
You
saw
know,
some Silvestri. I saw
yeah.
some Silvestri in there for
No,
sure.
especially like their styles keep on developing, and that's why I was saying I couldn't really pinpoint like one because there's just so many. I mean, like growing up when I first got into comics, it was Buscema and Ramita and Byrne and Arthur Adams, and those developed into Lee and Liefeld and McFarlane and everybody from Image and moving it into the modern. You got like Brian Hitch and Steve McGiven,
Yeah.
McNiven, and the new guys like Jerome Pena, and there's just so many.
It's
I mean, like
too many to count, really.
I'm leaving out Travis Charest. How am I leaving out Travis Charest? You can't miss that. But I mean,
Yeah,
like
I think my list changes day by day almost.
yeah, and then plus, I mean, like the style it becomes more and more refined. Where Lionel Yu like started off more because he was Will Spertasio was his mentor, right?
Yep.
Like that's what I get from I think what I read and heard. But I mean, like he definitely like developed into his own kind of like charade, like
Yep.
evolution or whatever. Like
Yeah, he really did.
and Charade himself, he was definitely like a Lee acolyte, and comes in and man just blows everybody out of the water with what he evolved into. And
Yeah,
then
it's really interesting to see, like, if you look at like the Extreme Studios guys too, like
mhm,
they were
yeah,
all like trying to clone Liefeld, and then
yeah,
Fraga went on and did like
Braga, yeah,
storyboarding and stuff, and now his style's completely evolved and amazing work.
mhm,
And Murat Michaels, like his
yeah,
style completely changed. Jeff Matsuda, like all of those guys.
yeah,
Danny Mickey, I mean, he was
yeah.
way
Danny
back.
Mackey, wow,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that
Absolutely.
evolution is definitely is really cool to see. Like
Hmm.
even Liefeld himself, his art has evolved. Like I don't think
Yeah.
people give it enough credit because a lot of people, hate him for whatever reason or the other.
Yeah.
But
Uh,
it's
uh,
like you can't look at his stuff and not see improvement. Like his
uh,
current stuff is definitely better than a lot of his old stuff.
but you can't look on his old stuff and honestly say that didn't look cool. Uh,
Exactly.
I just recently acquired the Hawk and Doves again. I got them when I was a kid, but you know, through you know having comics, you're losing stuff and gaining stuff all the time. I got them back recently.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that stuff still looks cool. I still love it.
It still
Uh,
gives you a certain feeling, right? That's the
yeah,
thing. Like it
and
brings all that back.
I think a lot of people don't take context into example. Like you can't compare an artist's work from back in the day to art now. I hate it when people do that when they're like, well, it sounds good as like, Jerome Pena. It's like, dude, Jerome Pena I wasn't looking at this stuff in the early 80s, dude. That wouldn't
No,
happen.
exactly. Yeah, we didn't have that same frame of reference that people have
Yeah,
now.
yeah. And so, I mean, Lipo to me, even though they'll be, the quirks, just like every artist. Jim Lee had quirks, back in the day. I mean, like even though I love his Alpha Flight stuff, I love
Yeah.
like all of his early stuff. I love the Punisher War Journal, of course. But even in the Uncanny X-Men, there was some quirks in there that was all like, man, is Wolverine's forehead really that big?
Yeah. Yeah, or even our beloved Silvestri. I mean, he
Yeah,
he do
yeah,
those little jackrabbit feet every now and
yeah.
again.
Oh, I love them. I love them,
Yeah.
man. I'll swear by that. But it just looks cool, man. It's obviously an evolution of Arthur Adams,
Yeah.
and those of us who are like, like, oh man, the little like fan. But I just did that recently. I don't know if you saw on my Nova versus Thanos,
Oh
but
yeah.
you see that foot. I
Yep.
don't know if anybody can guess, but that's straight up like an Arthur Adams homage foot right there.
Man, and Arthur Adams, we could spend a whole podcast just talking about
Oh
him.
man.
That guy is
Oh,
still producing like some of his best work of his life right now.
one of my heartbreaking moments is I lost the Art of Arthur Adams book that
Oh
I had. I
no.
couldn't find it anywhere. But definitely, man, that guy, and he was such a like golden goose egg or whatever to find. Like
Yeah.
I remember trying to get like those X-Men annuals or whatever, and like the one where I got it now where Mojo turns the X-Men into X-Men babies,
Yep.
like the man, all that stuff, the long shots he did.
I got a
Uh,
whole Arthur Adams section over here off
yeah,
camera. Yeah.
and all the classic X-Men covers, man, just like McFarlane's Marvel Tale covers.
Mm-hmm.
Those were gems. I remember just getting those just for the covers.
Yeah. It
I
sounds
mean,
like
like,
we have a lot of the same taste.
yeah,
A lot of the same stuff. We're probably right around the same, or in the same age range, I would guess, too, judging by the gray in both of our
75.
beards.
I'm
Oh, okay,
75.
you
I
got
look
me
pretty
by a
good,
couple
don't
of
I?
years.
I
Yeah,
look
you
pretty
look
good.
great.
Yeah.
You got less
I
gray
just
than
started
me.
getting
What's up with
these,
that?
man. What's
You
that?
got. I'm 70. I'm 77, and you
Oh man.
got less gray than I do, man. What's up with that?
Oh, it's funny. It's like when we tell somebody younger than us, and they don't like blink or anything. They don't,
Yeah.
I'm really not that old, man.
When you are younger, anybody in their 30s seems ancient to you when you're a
Yeah,
young
yeah, yeah.
person.
Oh my gosh.
30 and up is like ancient to a little kid.
Yeah. That's quite something when you were telling me about doing your thing for 21 years. I was
Yeah.
just thinking about how little a time that seems,
Yeah.
now.
And it
Just
goes by so quick too. It's the thing.
yeah,
Well, going back to your early days, do you remember kind of your first comics that you got
oh
into?
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
what
Yeah.
were those?
So one was speaking of Marvel Tales, it was and it's not like I was even like I was just a kid. All kids you gotta have like a couple of comic books. They're included with your G.I. Joe toys and stuff.
Right.
But I remember this Marvel Tales re- reprint, and it was Scorpion, Spider-Man versus Scorpion, and it was John Romita art,
Oh
and
man,
I was
legend.
just yeah, I was fascinated on the cover. They did a redone. It wasn't the original cover on the original Amazing Spider-Man. It was like where they were both in the water, and I remember Scorpion's tail was coming out
I think I
of the
remember that
water,
one.
and I was just like fascinated, like because I was starting to recognize when I would try to copy it, you know, that I wasn't doing something that I was seeing. And that ended up being a big lesson to me about like art and how to draw was drawing what you see and not
Right.
drawing what you think you see or whatever. But that was definitely my first comic that I remember like, holding on to, and that was like my favorite. I forget what number it was. It was like one Marvel Tales like 139 or something like that. But but also like a Star Wars. I wasn't too interested in the Star Wars because it like had nothing to do with the movie.
Yeah, it was nothing to do with yeah,
Like I
absolutely.
had no idea what was going on in the story. And then like of course G.I. Joe. I remember one of them was still mind-blowingly inspiring. And it
Michael
was that
Golden.
that Snake Eyes issue. No, it wasn't Michael Golden yet.
Okay. Was it the silent issue?
It was the silent issue. That just blew my mind. And it didn't blow my mind first initially. I just thought that, you know, they're all creative. They're all awesome. All comic books are awesome. I didn't realize how groundbreaking that was to like just
Yeah.
have like no words. And I followed along just like a kid. Oh yeah, that makes sense. But it was later that I was all like, wow, that didn't have any words in it. Somebody told a story through pictures.
Yep.
That was my first like real inspiration for sequential art. Like that just set the standard
Yeah,
as
and
far as I was
as
concerned.
you get into, being mentored and learning about sequential
Mhm.
art, that's what they'll tell you. You should be able to show somebody your layout and they should be able
Yeah,
to figure out what's going on without there being any dialogue or thought
yeah,
bubbles or anything.
and we could hear the dialogue in our head. We're making it up. We didn't even realize that it was kind of like manipulating us to
Yep.
come up with this story in our head. I mean, we could hear like Destro, not even paying any attention, and like and wasn't he saving what's her name, Scarlet or
I
something
think
in
so,
that
yeah.
issue? But Storm Shadow, I remember you remember the part where he comes down, or when comes down to that thing, he does this.
Oh yeah.
I remember, and the three ninjas like show up all of a sudden.
Yep.
He was doing that hand signal. I remember
Yep.
that. I used to like me and my friends would like tie shirts around our heads and pretend ninjas and do that.
I
That
thought me and my friends were the only one that did that.
oh no,
This kid in my neighborhood, my best friend from childhood, his name was Christian, and we would do, he would get throwing stars and
yeah,
nunchucks, and
yeah,
he had climbing claws. I'm like, where are you
yeah.
getting this stuff, man?
The mall.
He,
You remember the
he
mall?
yeah. He'd be like, go look under the tree in the neighbor's yard. I've left something there, and it'd be like throwing stars or something that I
Nice,
wasn't
nice.
supposed to let my parents know I had.
Well, I think I was getting away with them because they were so small. I remember there was a shop over at the mall that we would go to. They had like everything. They had katanas and stuff,
Yeah,
and yeah, they would have the throwing stars. They weren't. stars, like, obviously weren't sharp,
No.
cut yourself. But they had the throwing knives. I remember with the armband and
Yep.
the
Yep.
house. And I remember
I'm
like
pretty sure Christian had
practicing
those.
with my friend with a piece of wood in the backyard, trying to stick a knife, knowing how
Yep.
to do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
where things got kind of sketchy and my parents kind of put their foot down is one time Christian told me he was gonna leave me supplies so we could make an explosive.
Ooh,
And
yeah,
he's like, yeah,
that's
I've
not.
got gunpowder, I got and then I thought he was joking. I'm maybe like 7 years old or something. He's like, yeah, go check under the bush in your yard. And there was like fuses and stuff. And I ended up telling my parents, and they're like, yeah, no, you're not going to be
That's too
doing any of
much.
that. You're going to take a break from hanging out with, with
I remember,
Christian.
yeah, the closest we ever got to that is like hairspray and a lighter. I
Yeah.
remember accidentally burning off my friend's eyebrows. It's like opposite end of the fire that we were building up.
Yeah.
We were doing like the kids camping out and stuff, and we had the hairspray, and he was blowing it towards me too. It's not like we were trying to do it at each other's
Right.
face, but I did one big old one and just went up his face,
Oh
and
my
he was
goodness.
fine, but his eyebrows were gone.
Try explaining that to,
Yeah.
to the parents.
Yeah, we could draw them on.
Yeah, there you go. So
Yeah.
you were in the image, you were into all the image stuff too, I'm
Oh yeah,
assuming,
yeah.
like the McFarlane, like Spawn. I remember I've told this on the podcast before, but my folks wouldn't let me buy Spawn. Coming from a religious household, they're like, that's
Yeah,
demonic.
why?
You're not
What are you doing telling your parents everything, man?
too honest, too honest
Like
to a fault.
there's enough that my parents were finding they weren't paying attention to the
I was like, I want to buy Spawn #1, and McFarlane's my favorite artist. Like, nope, you can't get
why
that.
you what was wrong with you,
Telling
man?
you,
Like
man.
you're like I remember you actually. We used to have a friend like you. We'd be all like, no.
Yep, yep. Too honest to a
He's like,
fault.
well, we got this. I remember my friend telling me, and it was so crazy that remember that TV show Werewolf.
Yeah,
Remember when the pentagram was on the hand?
yep.
I had a friend who was telling my mom about how they had pentagrams on. I
Oh
was like,
no.
"What are you doing, dude? Why? Why would you say that?"
Yep.
and yeah, sure enough,
I
we
think
couldn't watch it anymore. Go
we
figure.
all either had a friend like that or we were that friend.
I was like, "What are you doing?" I remember him like, what's the big deal? It's on the show." And I'm like, so we're not going to be watching anymore. Yeah, all right.
Yeah. Now, are you originally from Washington? I know I ran into you at the summer con. Okay.
No. Yeah.
You're from parts unknown.
Parts unknown. It's a void. It came through the void. I'm like the
Nice.
Sentry, in that way. I'm waking up and I'm remembering. I'm piecing together my life.
Speaking of the Sentry, he's I guess he was in that footage they showed from the Thunderbolts at San Diego Comic-Con.
I haven't seen the
They haven't
leaked.
Nobody leaked it yet,
footage,
but I heard he's in it, so
I'm
it'll be interesting to see. I hope they do him justice.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know where we're at with all this. I mean, like kind of seems like the last thing that we had that was really good, that I really enjoyed was well, of course, I haven't seen Deadpool and Wolverine yet.
Oh,
so
it's
no
amazing. Yeah, no spoilers, but it's in my opinion, it's the best thing they've done like
from what
a very long time.
What I've gotten spoiled from, it looks awesome. Looks great.
It is. It's every bit.
As far as entertaining,
Yeah,
I love it being entertaining, and that's that's the bottom line for me, because if you want me to pull the hard-earned cash out of my pocket, it's all automated anyway now. But if you want me to use this credit towards your project, I need to be entertained by it. I just watched Dead Reckoning, the Mission Impossible,
Mm-hmm.
and I love it, man. I don't love Tom Cruise the person. I don't know him personally, but man, it just kind of seems like everything that he's ever in. I mean, he's been doing Mission Impossible for like 30
I
years,
know, it's
and,
crazy.
it's always entertaining. It's
Always
always, I mean, like,
consistent. Yeah,
yeah,
consistently entertaining.
I always get brought back to that feeling that we all get. You experience it at the movies where when we're kids, we experience it, and I want to be that guy. When we get out, like
Yeah.
I want to become like secret agent now, or I want to become this guy. But now I use that energy for the creative process or for drawing and stuff. It inspires me coming up with crazy ideas for characters and stuff.
Now,
But
do you create a lot of your own characters? I noticed I saw a lot of your work. You got a lot of really cool, pinups of established characters, but I know a lot of us
right,
people that are creative, we have our own little, hidden characters and things
yeah,
tucked away that we're working on
exactly.
the side.
So I don't really like to post them because I mean, like, especially now in the internet age, I mean, like, it's just gonna be taken,
Yeah.
in some way, shape, or form. But I always like to keep my cards close to the
Yeah.
chest, But there are some character developments that I've tossed out there, and I've gotten some good responses. So yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure you're the same way. I mean, like, we just got a million, you know.
Got a lot of
It, it,
yeah, a lot of stuff out
but
there that's bouncing around in my head.
we're like the new rapper, we got like 600 more tracks that we're
Mm-hmm.
working on right now. It's like we got you know we got and I think for the most part, the people that I've talked to, we got our main idea, that one like epic that we have, that's been building in our heads,
Yeah.
and then we got all the little like pieces that that would be cool, and like sometimes those little pieces end up becoming like the epic, and so it's just a constant like rotation. But I've
Yeah.
had one for a good like few years now building up in my head that I think would be really cool. I don't know if I would want to do the art on it because I kind of envision it more of a kind of cartoony style, but
Okay.
more like, but not cartoony, like more of like a Maderia or
Okay. Yeah.
one of those guys like
Very
uh,
dynamic, even maybe a little more kind of anime influence type of
animated,
style.
yeah,
Yeah.
more like a like how Campbell brought in that Disney kind of feel,
Yep.
and those guys like Campbell and Madeira and Ramos, those were major influences. And man, you might be able to see like some of that you know uh, flowing into mine,
Yeah, I can
especially
definitely see it.
when it comes to like more of a manga or anime kind of thing.
Yeah, I
But
know Ryan Stegman, he always encouraged me to like study animation and stuff. That was like a huge part of his style. He did a lot of uh kind of like Campbell with that Disney influence. Yeah, there you go.
yep,
I have that. I have the animator survival kit over here.
nice.
Yeah, the Illusion of Life, the Disney
Hmm.
one, the big thick one.
Hmm.
Yeah, those were all Stegman was like, man, you gotta study that stuff too. Like, there's a lot of good
Yeah,
stuff in there about bringing your characters to life, and that's the thing
well,
you find with animation is the really like movement and in things like that, or there's a lot of nice techniques that they use to convey that
absolutely,
information, right?
absolutely. And then also, you can't forget like the classical or modernist or the realist or the impressionist. All that definitely can add, you know, bring so much more
Yeah.
to artist art, and also the new, even more like neo modern or whatever style. Uh, you know, I got big into graffiti, um, um, but
Now
just studying,
no,
just
dude,
the
don't accident Banksy. Don't accidentally out yourself, okay, Banksy?
graffiti as a style of art,
Okay,
not
okay.
to study,
Uh,
not to
got
do
it. Got it.
vandalism. I
Got
mean,
it. Okay.
not to actually learn the techniques used, um, but also the speed. Speed is pretty interesting because I mean, like, you know, a lot of people think that in order to do a good project, whether you're even like, doing building something, the slow way is always the best way, or take your time, but sometimes, if you find a more efficient way, that's like faster,
Yeah.
sometimes that ends up making a better product. So,
Yeah.
and especially like, I imagine, this is old news, especially to people who are in industries and stuff, because like that's the whole purpose of separation of the work, to make a more efficient and quicker process.
I know,
But
like, anytime I talk with Ryan Benjamin, he's given me a lot of great advice over the years with my art, and he's like talking about keeping the energy and stuff, like we were talking about earlier, like not losing
mm,
that energy. Like,
yeah,
he draws so fast and it's so dynamic, and
mhm, mhm.
like he can't say what the project is, but he let out that he's working on something with Frank Miller, and he's
Nice.
like so excited about it that
That's
he
awesome.
did like 6 pages in one day.
Nice.
And he's
Well, I
like
remember
so
him
fast though. He can do a
talking
page
about.
like ridiculously fast.
I remember if you remember those, say he was talking about accidentally like getting into something he didn't realize the like, scope of it. And he ended up having to call in a couple of his buddies to help him
Yeah.
finish it.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people don't, I guess, recognize. Well, especially when you're young and you don't know what you're getting into. Uh, uh, you know, uh, it'd be best if you're turning in your portfolio to be reviewed or whatever, or like a 5 pager or something to some editors, like some Comic Con somewhere. you know, they they want to see your best stuff, but they want to know that this stuff was able to be done within a timely manner.
Exactly.
You know, and that was something that I learned. I think at an earlier on, uh, because that's why I'm always trying to find a style that would be complementary of the time
Yeah.
takes. Yeah,
Now, is your goal to eventually break in and work for the big two, or are you thinking you want to
always,
kind of?
always,
Okay.
always.
Yeah,
I
I
don't, I
was
don't, I
checking
don't try
because
to.
everybody's different, right? Because nowadays we have the ability to successfully crowdfund stuff and kind
Well,
of do our own
and
thing, but
I don't hold anything against that either. I leave all doors open.
yeah.
I wouldn't. The only thing that closes doors for me is time. It's just well, I can't be in two places at the same time.
Right.
So, but if anything that I can do and I have time for it, I'll do it. I mean, it's not any and plus my lifestyle of got down to where I can spend more time on.
That's good because, as you know, with anything, the more time you can commit to it, the
Hmm.
quicker you're going to progress and the more
Right.
opportunities are going to open up for you. So
Mhm.
when you go around and you obviously, like we were talking about, you appreciate that constructive criticism and you will
Oh
go
yeah.
up to somebody like Aaron Lepresti and ask
Hmm.
for critiques and everything,
Or anybody. Yeah.
or anybody, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what do you find? Like, do you find that nowadays the artists are, I'm trying to frame this without it being offensive. It's not offensive though. You and I are obviously maybe a little older than some of the people that are coming and getting their
Yeah.
portfolios and reviewed and everything.
Right.
Do you find that they care, or has that ever come up, or is it more of a just it's based on what you can do, doesn't really matter your age?
Yeah, that's an interesting question because and that's I think the answer would be unsatisfactory because it's just everybody's different.
Yeah.
So you can't expect editor from. I mean, like you can't even expect an editor from DC to act like an editor from Marvel. You can't expect any of these guys to not be having a bad day that day, or not be
Right.
like maybe they're a little bit tipsy or something, and they're
Hmm.
like more susceptible to like, hey, I'll just sign this guy in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like as far as what they want, just treat everybody like an adventure. You know, don't have any expectations. Be like Bruce Lee. Be like water or whatever.
Yep. Yep.
Don't have any um, notions or preconceptions of where what they're gonna think. I think one of the biggest lessons I learned going to a con was uh I was early, and it was actually before the time to get your stuff reviewed, and so like nobody was even there yet. Well, I mean, like there was people there, and there was a guy that was sitting at the tables where you get your stuff reviewed. They had these big long, picnic tables in the back, and I don't know how it's. I haven't really had my stuff reviewed like this for a while, but they have these big old picnic tables set up in the back. You just go straight to the back, and I forget it's like 10 a.m. or something when they open up the lines for getting your stuff reviewed,
Right.
and it was like, well, my first like official time at a con getting reviewed. And so it was I was still like really a greenhorn as far as like what to expect and stuff. So I was definitely probably what you're talking about, where I had all these like, this is my best stuff. Boy, they're really gonna be, they're gonna be like, hoisting me up on their shoulder and like parading me around, and you know, well done, no.
Yeah.
There was this guy who was sitting there, and he was a professional, but he wasn't one of the guys who was there to review or give jobs or anything like that. He was just he was probably like an artist, and I don't even know if I couldn't like really recognize him. But I went up to him thinking, like, hey, do you want to look at my work? And he didn't he didn't say, oh, that hadn't started yet or anything. He just went and played along. He was just all like, okay, yeah, yeah, bring it. I'm all like nervous, and palms are sweaty, and I'm like, like, all right, here we go, and he just ends up like, it's just he actually spent like 30 minutes to just like tear me down.
Oh
It was
man.
just like the worst thing. I just felt like my whole point to living.
Mm.
It was just like saying like, yeah, it was like he was giving me an art lesson. I just felt like I was going back in time to like school, and like I was getting like told by the teacher, like, oh, you gotta throw this out like that. You gotta rework this. You might as well just like start over from the beginning. And I watched. I actually had a couple of buddies with me because like just for moral support or whatever. that they're not even into comics, but I mean, like, they
Yeah.
know how important it was for me. And I was just like, after that, I just felt like, I had just gotten beat up, like, in the schoolyard, in front of everybody. I just felt like, and I'm just taking my stuff and just, I almost felt like just throwing it in the garbage. I was just like,
Yeah.
oh man. We're walking out, and my friends are all like, well, don't you want to show it to other people? And I was all like that. I don't think so. And then all of a sudden we hear a big old announcement. Hey, portfolio of reviews will now begin. And I'm like, wait, what was that? And so, it ended up being kind of a blessing, actually, because I mean, like, I didn't go in there now with this, like, high attitude of like, oh, I'm gonna blow them away. I was just like,
Yeah.
I don't know how this is gonna go. This is
Well,
like,
and after
okay,
having
here we go.
it torn down that much, you
Yeah.
gotta, part of you had to be like, well, it can't get much
I'm
worse
a,
than that.
I'm a grown man, and I'm feeling like crying like a little baby, with my mommy or whatever. But I hear this big old announcement. I'm like, what the heck is going on? I go over there. Now, all these picnic tables have, like, the tablecloth over them. They got the names and stuff like that. And now a big old print. I'm like, oh, so it hadn't even started yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so now I'm going in there with the, like, okay, let's see. Who knows? Who knows? I mean, like, hey, we're here. I spent, money. I even bought my friends tickets, going to this thing. I might as well.
Yeah.
And so I go in there. I meet this guy. They're small company. He worked. I think they were called the Illuminati Press. Comic books. Do you recall that at all?
I'm familiar. I do think I've heard of that before.
All right. And
Yeah.
this guy's name was Fred Gilmore, and he was working as the editor there. And I showed him my work with no expectations. I'm just laying out. This is my life. I'm just
Yeah.
kind of gentle, And he's looking at it, and he's all like, "These aren't bad. You know what?" And he's all like, "Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if you get a job." I'm all like, "Oh, this is great. This is great." And he told me to go to the San Diego, and man, talk. This is a big, powerful lesson. This ends up having a sad ending because, like, I wasn't able to make it to San Diego
Right.
that year. Yeah. But one big life lesson that I learned is don't give up, and that unfortunately, and that means not giving up in the life department either. Because what I didn't realize at the time is that if I had just kept on going, I would have eventually made it. Not just as a comic book artist, but I mean, like, as in, like, uh, a success in just getting gainful employment.
Right.
Just but at that time, I was living with two other roommates. One of them couldn't get on the lease. We ended up having to move. Everything was just getting pulled out from underneath me financially, and I wasn't able to make it. My parents were even, like, sprung and got me tickets to go to San Diego that year, and I couldn't make it.
Oh
And I was
man.
like,
Yeah, that had to be
you
a
know
big
what?
bummer. Because that's like the dream. Going to San Diego is like the
Yeah,
dream for sure.
yeah. And I didn't even care about anything else. I didn't care about who was going to be there. All I cared about is just showing my artwork to some editor and getting the job.
Now,
And
did you eventually end up making it to San Diego? Have you ever been?
no.
Okay.
I've been to the city, but I have not been to the con.
I've
But
been once. I went in 2016 on a whim. It was kind of
nice.
crazy. I was down there for to train at my jujitsu instructor school, and I didn't even realize that it was going on that week. And
That's
so when I
awesome.
found out, I had some connections in the jiu-jitsu world, and I put out the call like, hey, does anybody have access to getting me in? And somebody knew somebody that worked there
Wow.
and was actually able to
That,
get me a
that's super cool.
secret link to go on and get badges and everything. So it just worked out. It was crazy.
Right.
But yeah, that's definitely got to be on your bucket list, going to San
Yeah,
Diego
absolutely.
Comic Con.
Yeah. Well, now that I opened all doors, I think one of the things that hindered me, I mean, like growing up, and not just with art or anything, is closing all these doors and just like not being more mature minded, more open minded towards like you can find your special niche niche, whatever, anywhere,
Yeah,
and doing anything. Um, I think for the most part, I've been um, blessed with just being alive and being able to draw, being able to have the opportunity um, to still go after this passion and not be hindered with a lack of health or a
yeah,
lack of yeah,
definitely. Well,
yeah,
something I wanted to ask you was nowadays, compared to when you and I were coming up in aspiring to do art and everything, people have so many resources now on
hmm
YouTube
hmm
and Patreon and everything else as
yeah,
far as having access to these pros to actually get,
yeah,
less lessons from or critiques
yeah,
from. And um, I find it's kind of a double-edged sword, like having too
hmm
much information. Like we were the
yeah,
opposite. Like there was
yeah,
no information available,
uh-huh.
like comparatively back then.
Mhm.
So that can kind of be overwhelming for up and coming artists. What
Oh
would
yeah,
be your advice to somebody who's just getting in and aspiring to be a comic artist? Like, would you say, slow
yeah,
down, only look
balance,
at a couple of resources, don't get wrapped up in a
balance,
million?
yeah. Yeah, we're all affected by. I mean, like even I've seen some older guys that are already professionals, and even like, you know, even us fans, we can see like, well, you're on here all the time, man. What
Yeah.
is this? Like, I don't care about your dinner. Like, I don't care about what you ate. Like, oh, they already got channels for that, man. If I want to go watch, Hot Wings or Hot Ones or whatever, I'll go watch that. Yeah, the barbecue pit boys. Oh, that's one of my favorite YouTube channels. It
Yeah.
gets me so hungry. But
Oh yeah.
like I say, as far as having all the information you need is compared to having more information that is now hindering your ability to be out there. Sometimes I guess it could be as simply put as turn it off. Give yourself a break, walk away from social media for a minute, go into go into your bedroom, go into, wherever you do the art, just get focused. Whatever you got to do to get focused. I think I still, find myself where I'm all like, man, I, I just spent 3 hours of doing nothing.
Yeah.
What, I think I'm doing something. Oh, like that. Oh, like that. Oh, yeah. Oh, look at that. Oh, hey, how's it going? Hey, yeah. And man, I just did nothing. And thankfully, I've gotten to a point where, you know, I've set aside time to do that. I need to veg out for a minute, and that's where you got to find balance.
So you
You
actually
gotta,
kind of schedule that time for yourself.
yeah, well, you have to. Otherwise, you're
Yeah.
going to find yourself doing one or the other too much. Find yourself, excuse me, at the drawing board too long, or you're going to find yourself at playtime too long. And That's even before the internet. You gotta have work and play, and
Right.
you gotta balance that out evenly, because it's just like any of us who've done manual labor. You know that you need to have break time to rejuvenate, to get that energy going again. You know,
Absolutely.
and then you work for a time, and then you take a break, and then you work for a time, you take a break. A lot of us would think, oh, if I just keep on working, I'll get it all done, and it'll all be done, and then I can rest. It's like, it doesn't work like that. That's not
No.
how life works. I mean, like, I've tried that so many times that now I finally realize you got to have the balance. And it's like, I've tried just work, and I get burned out, or I get just too physically exhausted.
Yeah.
And then I leave it alone forever. It's like it never gets done.
Well, and I don't think too many people, other than those of us that do it, realize just how mentally taxing art is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, art is like high level problem solving at all
Oh yeah,
points when you're sitting there, like trying to
yeah.
figure out if things are in proportion and the
Mm-hmm.
perspective's right and the line weights are right and everything
That's
else. And
why it's always good if you got one, either a wife or a spouse or whatever, your partner. Uh, uh, as artists, we know this. We've seen the look.
mm-hmm,
They can give us all this lip service, and they can say, "Oh, it looks great." No, 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 it looks great. But we can hear that thing in their voice, and that little thing, that disappointment. It's all
mm-hmm,
like that. That's what we need. We need another pair of eyes looking at it. We need to. Oh, it doesn't look right. And you know, either we hear that thing that's like, "Oh, I did do something." Huh? But sometimes we hear that, like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, that's great." And it's like, "Oh, all right, yep, scrap it, start over again." You know, we we are our worst critic, and
100%.
that can be a hindrance, but it can also sharpen our teeth. It can make us better and faster to do, like what I was saying at the beginning, where erase that thing. I know it looks really super cool, but yeah, you might need to just scrap it and do something completely in the opposite direction there.
And that
And
was something that when I started watching Jim Lee streaming on Twitch,
mm,
and I was like, we look at his work and we think just perfection comes out right away. And even the
yeah,
stuff he erases is like what I consider really
yeah,
good. But
yeah,
just seeing the fact that somebody on that level, you
mm,
would get like 90% through something and like erase
yeah.
like three-quarters of it. And like, what's
Man,
going on?
I don't know if you watched Lepresti's Graybeards,
Yeah,
uh,
with
but
Kelsey.
David Williams, and David Williams will have like whole like drawings and all like, man,
Hmm.
and I want to steal it. Like, like, look at that! Oh man, you don't want that? I'm gonna steal that pose.
Yeah.
That pose was awesome.
Yeah, and they'll just get rid of all of it. Like, oh, it's
Yeah,
off. I gotta
yeah,
start
yeah.
over.
But no, I mean, like, sometimes. Well, not sometimes. Well, 100% of the time, there'll be these times. And I know that probably doesn't mathematically make any sense, but there'll be these times where you feel like, where you scrap it and you start over again. You don't really feel like starting over again, and then all of a sudden that one is the one
Yeah,
that
something
ends up being the
clicks.
one. Yeah, and I love those are definitely like magical moments where I just feel like, oh, it's all falling into place. There we go. That's what I needed. That's what I needed. You know what?
Yeah.
Sometimes it wasn't a new arm or a new leg, new eyes or whatever. Sometimes it's a whole new piece, and the whole new piece. Like, you know what? Maybe I didn't feel like drawing like Spider-Man today, or maybe I didn't feel like drawing uh, this character right now. There'll be sometimes, and that's kind of an iffy place, because like if you're doing a commission for somebody and they want that specific person, then it's about, like, the pose, or what angle, how dynamic can I push this, to where it doesn't look goofy. And, and there'll be several times where, all right, that's it. I'm done with that one. Maybe I'll save it and I'll come back to it. That's a great thing about digital,
Yeah.
And so I can actually what's repurpose it. Maybe it was the pose that I really liked, or maybe it was an arm that I want to liken or want to use, and I want to, see if I can make that come correct.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, digital definitely gives that flexibility too, which is another benefit of that. I'm keeping
it's not
you
about
here
light tables or anything.
Yeah.
Now I can just click and paste.
Well, I had a couple more things I wanted to ask you. One was, what program or what app are you using on
Procreate?
You're using Procreate. Yeah, a lot of people use Procreate. A lot of people with Clip Studio, but both are great. Both have. In Procreate, they keep adding all kind of some of the features that were unique to Clip Studio, like the perspective grids and all of that now, or the perspective rulers. Now they have that in Procreate as well. So
it's like, just having everything at my disposal, and I don't need the space for it. Whereas and all of my images, and I don't know if everybody can tell, but all of my images that I posted are all 11:17 resolution. I mean, like, you could blow it up to, that's how I work. So
yeah.
So no matter how big your device is or whatever, and then plus, like, I can hook up my pad to my big screen.
Right.
So as big as I want to see it, I can do that. So there's really like no excuse that I can find personally for not using the mediums that I'm using right now.
Well, and the portability too.
Yeah. And the
like
time,
you could literally
and the money.
go anywhere and you have all your art supplies with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was talking with Chris Jones on here recently. Another one of my favorite up and coming artists, and he was
Chris
talking
Jones.
about Chris Jones, super artist.
Yeah, he's awesome.
His episode will be coming out here in a I think this coming Monday is when that one drops. But we were talking about how McFarlane used to travel with his gigantic Cintiq. And he would take that on airplanes with him and stuff and hook it up in the hotel. And I'm like, man, how far have we come? Now we got the iPad. Awesome. It's all right there.
I'm taking this on planes. And so, there's really nothing I can't do. While everybody is getting hung up, I guess, just because they haven't tried it yet, or they're still afraid, what are we going to be missing? Or like that thing, if there's an EMP and it wipes out everything. It's like, I
think we're going to have a lot of bigger things to worry about if an EMP goes off.
Yeah, exactly.
Than doing our art.
I'm not going to be worried about selling art at that moment. But one of the things it reminds me of is, like, I remember when the DJs were becoming digital.
Yep.
And I remember hearing them the vinyl, you get to hear it, and then it's like all that just like went out the door when the technology kept on advancing more and more, and where even the you could still use vinyl and digital at the same time, and that's the way I see it with our art. Going digital, you can get those screen guards or whatever they're called, the screen covers,
to get the feel
like paper, or the pen tips. I've seen the ad for it.
Yeah, I have some of those.
Replace that, and I don't know. I haven't used it. I just got used to being on a smooth surface. It really doesn't bother me anymore.
Yeah, I actually like the feel of the iPad Pro, like how the pen is on the surface. To me, out of all the different, like, I have a tablet monitor here, and I've used, back in the day, the Wacom tablets and all of that. Yeah. But the iPad Pro, it's like the best thing I've used. It's most intuitive as far as drawing on it, in my opinion.
The whole process, to sum up, you remember back in the day, I remember I would get like, 8x10, copy paper, and I would divide that in four. I'd do all my thumbnails on that, and then I would blow up those thumbnails, go over to Kinko's,
Yep.
and blow that up to the 11x17 fit, and then go over to the light table, and then, redraw them all over again. That's just instant now.
Yeah.
I do this, instantaneously. It's got the pencil brush, and I can do pencil on them. Plus, I can convert that instantly to blue line,
Yeah.
like all that blue line, and
Well, and that
I don't.
takes out the whole thing of like, I think people, they worry about, pros worry about not having an original piece to sell a lot of times.
Right,
And,
right,
a lot of people don't realize like Ryan Otley, all his work's on the iPad, his entire
yeah,
workflow, and he just
yeah.
prints the blue line out and inks
Well,
it, and then he
and
has a
I heard
physical
them.
original.
I heard them giving Jorge Jimenez. I
Yeah.
don't know how to pronounce it. Yeah. Giving him stuff for selling that digital piece, and I'm all like, man, I'm doing that all the time, man.
Yeah. If
And
people want to
and
buy
guess
it,
what?
like if people don't
The
care, like,
the money is still the money. I use it to pay bills, so it still works. And I don't know what they're thinking that I'm getting like some kind of digitized money. No, I'm getting actual money from this. The
yeah,
process is still the same.
they're not paying you in Dogecoin.
Oh, so I mean, like I'm still getting paid for my artwork, and it's still my artwork, and it's still original. And if somebody I haven't been requested, hey, delete this when you print it out. I haven't been
Right.
told that. Like I still have all the art. What happens if there's a flood at their house and they want another copy? I can just go get
There you go.
another copy. Come on, man.
One of the things I wanted to ask you before we wrapped up, I've got to ask, how did Duck Bacon Graphics come to be a thing? I love the name. I love the logo. It's amazingly unique. I have to know how that became a thing.
Well, I think it's probably not that satisfactory an answer. It's not. It's not a. I guess I should probably come up with like a myth or something that or
Yeah,
a
you
legend
should come up
from
with
where
something. Yeah. It's like you were deep
long
in
line.
thought.
But simply put, it's just um, I like duck bacon. Has anybody ever tried it? It's
I
really
haven't.
actually very
I
tasty.
haven't tried it.
Uh,
It's good, huh?
uh, we got it one time, and I thought I was gonna instantly because I'm a big fan of bacon to begin with. I love bacon.
You and me both.
Yeah, it's just it's always
To a
been in my life.
fault.
And I don't even look at it as a fault, man. That's one of my perks.
That's why there's many reasons I love my brother-in-law, but him and I are both big bacon. Anytime a family occasion has bacon, we're on it. We have
Have you ever
to
seen the
fight
Bacon
over
Bible?
it.
There's
I think I
bacon
have. I think
recipe
I
book.
have. Yeah.
It looks awesome. But I got a friend who has that. But anyway, big bacon fan. So when we're given a game meat package as a gift, 1 year, one of the products was duck bacon in there, and I was all like, we'll see. I mean, I've had
Yeah.
duck before. I don't see how the duck produced bacon. That's weird. But my wife served it up, and didn't. And when I first tried it, I thought it was regular bacon.
Really
I thought she just got like bacon. I was like,
interesting.
oh my goodness, this is really freaking good. And yeah, I've been a big duck bacon fan. So then when it came up to a name of well, what are you gonna call yourself? For your brand or whatever, I was all like, kind of joking at first. I was like, duck bacon. But you know what? That kind of has a ring to it, and I kind of thought of the because I don't know if it knows it kind of like a Duck Dynasty sort of thing.
Yeah. You got it going.
Like
You got the
Duck
beard
Bacon.
and everything. Yeah.
And
Perfect.
I drew out the logo, and I was like, man, that logo is one of
It's
my
badass.
favorites.
It's
So,
badass.
so
Well, listen, man, to close out, why don't you tell everybody what you're currently working on, how they can get a hold of you if they want a commission, and where they can find you online, the best place they can find you.
awesome. Well, I'm working on.
Ah, secret.
Yeah, but you'll see it. Everybody will see it, and that's not a big deal. I mean, it is a big deal to me, but
Definitely.
everybody, I'll post everything when I do it, unless somebody's asking me not to,
Right.
and you know, you'll see it when it comes out. But as far as where to reach me, at Duck Bacon Graphics on Instagram, and I think it's just Duck Bacon Graph on X or Twitter,
Okay.
Twix or Twit,
Whatever
whatever it's
used to
called now.
be the artist formerly known as Twitter.
And then I'm also on Kara. I gotta give shouts out to Kara.
Oh,
That is
yeah. I got on
freaking
there too.
awesome. You're on there. Hey, hit me up,
Yeah,
man. No,
I will. I
like,
will. I haven't been on it
I think I'm
recently,
just
but
Duck Bacon on there.
yeah, I'll find you on there.
Yeah, I love. I'll stand by that. It's like everything without the ads and the other kind of traffic that I don't need to.
Yeah, it's
Like I don't care.
really
I don't care
cool, and
about your
it's
food dish.
founded by an artist and everything.
Yeah,
So a really cool project to kind
they
of
are awesome.
give us
Yeah,
a different kind of platform that's just more focused on art and
yeah. I also
focused
have
on not getting too much in the AI direction.
yeah,
So kind of the purpose of
absolutely.
that.
And I'm getting annoyed. I'm finally getting annoyed of AI art, like because for some reason, like it's just kind of like the one style. I mean, like
Yeah,
if I was Art Germ, I guess I would be like extremely upset. I'm not so upset about it because I mean, like they're not copying like anyone but Art Germ style.
yeah.
So it's,
Well, it
I
just gets
mean, like
annoying
it's
when
old.
people are trying to pass it off as like they
Yeah,
sat there
I
and
guess
worked on
so.
that thing,
And
and it's like, no,
I
you
mean, like
type some words in.
I wouldn't have liked a robot band to go watch. I wouldn't. I mean, I guess it was impressive, like when I was a kid and we went to Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah,
But I mean,
yeah,
like now I want to see a real actual band. I like real actual people making music and stuff. And so I mean, same thing with my art. I mean, I'm not gonna say that Art Germ's not impressive. I love Art Germ. I think he's a wonderful artist, but he's not the only artist I like looking at. So I mean, like as soon as AI starts, copying Mark Silvestri or something, maybe I'll be entertained by it again. But I
yeah.
mean, like we'll see about that. But they can also find me on YouTube too. I have a Duck Bacon channel on YouTube. I
Awesome.
haven't been posting too much up there. I'm still trying to figure out um, uh, how to do that.
Well, I will be including all these as links in the show description for everybody, so they can make sure to find you, reach out to you, follow you for the
I appreciate it.
big reveal of the secret project. Just want to tell everybody who's listening, please make sure to go over youtube.com/@Nerdy Mewzings. It's nerdy, and then Mewzings is MEWZINGS. Give us a subscribe, a like, all that stuff helps. Over on Apple Podcasts, if you want to give us a review, that always helps. This podcast can be found on any major audio podcast platform, and then we always have the video version over on YouTube. So, Mr. Duck, I want to thank you for being here with me today. It was absolutely a wonderful time, very insightful. Hang out with me for a moment. I'm going to hit my outro. All right, everybody, keep it nerdy.